I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Did you speak with Netanyahu about this?
Yeah, but I'm not going to allow it. Whether I spoke to him or not, I did. But I'm not allowing Israel to annex the West Bank. There's been enough. It's time to stop now, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nissim Black Show. Always a pleasure, as yes, I am out of studio, I am on the road, but that does not stop the world from taking its course. J.D. Vance visits Israel. I was actually there while he was there. I actually went to an event where Ambassador Huckabee was supposed to be there, met the ambassador for religious affairs from the Trump administration. It was a beautiful event to be with so many people. J.D. Vance right now is in the news, definitely in Israeli news, for some comments that he made about the recent vote that the Knesset had of whether to or whether not to annex the West Bank, or we should call it Judah and Samaria is what the proper name is. Now, the comments that were made and the harshness of which he had spoke, and then not only that, Donald Trump afterwards to double down on it was actually pretty surprising. Not surprising because we didn't know that they were not on board. It was very clear. From the moment that the peace plan was laid out, we knew that we were not going to annex the West Bank. But however, why it happened is what I want to discuss. Like, why are we voting at this time right now? J.D. Vance obviously thought it was weird or whatever. I want to play this clip of J.D. Vance first being welcomed there first by Bibi Netanyahu. You'll hear a little bit from this press clip, and then we'll get into other things as well.
Okay. Good morning. A few days ago, we had our historic visit by President Trump that will be etched in the annals of our nation's history. We're fortunate today to have a visit by Vice President J.D. Vance, and I want to tell you a few things about that. First, in the last year, we've had an unmatched alliance and partnership with the United States. That is changing the Middle East, and it's also changing the world. It creates opportunities not only for security, but for the expansion of peace, which we're working on very, very diligently. And it's just unmatched. I've been here a few years. I've been through several administrations. I welcome the partnership and the assistance we've had, but there's never been anything like that. And President Trump said that. It's like a partnership. It's never happened before. Well, that includes a close circle.
Which is very true. Right, so nobody's denying that. Nobody, even if you don't like the tone, even if we don't like the way things are said or the way things are going, you absolutely cannot deny the fact that Donald Trump and his administration has been the most pro-Israel administration that we've seen for sure in my lifetime. And I think for many, many years. I don't know how far back you got to go to find somebody that's been as friendly and as on board with the state of Israel as Donald Trump. So credit is given where credit is due.
On our side and on the American side. And President Trump knows who he picks for that circle. One of the members, to put it mildly, is the vice president. We've had the opportunity to make decisions jointly in a very tight-knit and trusting partnership. And I was impressed. I was impressed with your clarity, with your incisiveness, with your solidarity for our common cause, and just a genuine friendship that I saw both in our conference meetings, but also in our private meetings. And it's in that spirit that I very much welcome you to Jerusalem in these days of destiny. We're changing the face of the Middle East. And I have to say, I was going to say, bring your family next year in Jerusalem, but welcome this year in Jerusalem, our great friend, J.D. Vance.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, and thanks to your entire team for your hospitality and for having us. As the Prime Minister said, these are days of destiny, and we're very excited to sit down and work together on the Gaza peace plan. We have a very, very tough task ahead of us, which is to disarm Hamas, but rebuild Gaza to make life better for the people in Gaza, but also to ensure that Hamas is no longer a threat to our friends in Israel. That's not easy. I think the Prime Minister knows that as well.
Keep those words in mind, that Hamas is no longer a threat to Israel, because it's going to be very, very important for the rest of this video. Please keep watching. I have a lot to say, and you're going to want to hear what I have to say.
Well as anybody, but it's something that we're committed to in the Trump administration. And I think that we've, even in the past 24 hours, had a lot of good conversations with our friends in the Israeli government, but also, frankly, with our friends in the Arab world who are stepping up and volunteering to play a very positive role in this. So we're going to keep working at it. I didn't know what to expect, honestly. I know the president was here a week ago to welcome the hostages home and actually sign the deal. A week into it, there's a lot of work to do, but I feel very optimistic about where we are. So thank you for the partnership. Thanks for your willingness to continue to work on this. And I think we're going to do great things here. It's not going to be easy. I know that there are some folks in the media who I think are rooting against this proposal, but I think that we have an opportunity to do something really historic. So we're going to keep working at it with all of our friends in the Israeli government. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think this is an amazing attempt, and I'm happy that that this peace plan was put on the table, and it's been signed, sealed, but it has not been delivered. And that's a very important thing for us to all remember. It's been signed and sealed, but it has not been delivered. And it's going to be hard to deliver on all the fronts of everything that was actually promised. I mean, after all, we are talking about Hamas. We're talking about negotiations with terrorist organizations that, there's a policy even by America not to negotiate with terrorists. And this is really where we start to lose ourselves, when we start to think that we are dealing with civilized people. And I'm not only talking about Hamas. Let's talk about some of these allies. And we'll see what happens. I know that, people are banking on some type of peace or whatever. Peace comes from God. Peace comes from picking up one of these and getting to know your king. That's where peace comes from. Peace doesn't come from presidents and figures and peace comes from within. If you ain't got that, you ain't got peace. You don't got God, you don't have peace. Anyway, J.D. Vance was asked about the Knesset voting on whether or not to annex the West Bank, and I want you all to hear what it is that he had to say.
About the West Bank, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll do it. Yeah.
The West Bank vote yesterday that took place while you were in the country.
Oh, yeah, that was weird. I was sort of confused by that. Now, I actually asked somebody about it, and they told me that it was a symbolic vote, some symbolic vote to recognize or a symbolic vote to annex the West Bank. I mean, what I would say to that is when I asked about it, somebody told me that it was a political stunt, that it had no practical significance. It was purely symbolic. I mean, look, if it was a political stunt, it was a very stupid political stunt, and I personally take some insult to it. The West Bank is not going to be annexed by Israel. The policy of the Trump administration is that the West Bank will not be annexed by Israel. That will continue to be our policy. And if people want to take symbolic votes, they can do that. But we certainly weren't happy about it. Thank you.
Now, that's the way he felt. It was stupid. That was weird. He took some type of offense to that. Why so strong, JD? Why so strong? Now, I've always respected him. I respect the Trump administration. 3-time Trump voter. However, listen, I think there's a misnomer when it comes to all of this. I think that people are under the illusion, right, that Israel will not survive without the U.S. And I actually think it's the opposite, right? I think it's the opposite. I think that the United States actually would be in a much tougher place without Israel. You're talking about the intel, the intellect, the intelligence. You're talking about missile defense that shared. I'm talking about you. The Middle East. Who can the United States actually truly trust in the Middle East? Say Israel, God forbid, becomes allies or joins forces with the China or Russia. Like, think about this a little bit here. Who does America have in the Middle East that it can actually trust, apart from Israel? No one. So, contrary to popular belief, I think that people are misunderstanding what's actually taking place here, which is why Donald Trump and which is why his administration understands the crucial necessity for that alliance and that partnership. However, when it comes to Qatar, comes to all these other places and whatever, ask yourself also this question. Why is it, and this is a very important question, so I need you to think about this. Why is it that when it comes to a peace agreement, right? If we're talking peace, why is it that when it comes to a peace agreement, everybody's concerned about Israel annexing the West Bank? Why is Saudi care about that? Why does Qatar care? Why is these grounds for moving forward in peace relations with Israel? And it doesn't have nothing to do with them. So why does it matter whether or not? And if you look at a map, look at this map, you will see how much Muslim Arab lands there are surrounding Israel. And you'll see how small Israel is. Now, in terms of real estate, why would they possibly be worried about annexing or not annexing, Israel annexing Judea and Samaria, aka the West Bank? Which, by the way, the West Bank, you have to understand, and this is important for you to know, the West Bank, ladies and gentlemen, has far more than religious and spiritual significance for us in the state of Israel. The West Bank happens to also be probably the most crucial piece of real estate for security reasons. The amount of warp speed that a person will be able to take out of Tel Aviv, Jerusalem. I mean, you're talking about not only the biblical heartland, which it is, but you're talking about the damages that can happen to Israel by the West Bank being controlled or being in Palestinian rule could be catastrophic. It is suicide. It is literally suicide. And I think my other thing for this is that why is it when, Donald Trump comes into office, we were all excited, and he can annex territory as he wishes, right? And this is called patriotism. Whether it's no longer the Gulf of Mexico, it's the Gulf of America. We can, we need to take control of the what was it? I'm sorry, I'm blanking on it right now. Of the Panama Canal, right? We need to take and take that territory because for security reasons, because of China, whatever. But when Israel does it, it's a problem. As Rabbi Richardson said a long time ago, he said that, America gets to kill its Osama bin Ladens, but then it turns around and tells Israel that it needs to negotiate peace with theirs. Double standards. And as much as I love the Trump administration and everything that they've done, I'm not saying that major failure on this. At least in the way that it's being talked about. I mean, at least hear Trump even.
Did you promise leaders this week that you would not allow Israel to annex the West Bank? Is that something that you
I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Did you speak with Netanyahu about this directly?
Yeah, but I'm not going to allow it. Whether I spoke to him or not, I did. But I'm not allowing Israel to annex the West Bank. There's been enough. It's time to stop now, okay? Yes, please.
Yeah, Trump even doubles down on this again. I want you to also see this video.
Yesterday, there was a vote at the Knesset on annexing the West Bank. Do you see it as a challenge to your peace efforts?
Could you say that louder, please?
Yes, yesterday there was a vote at the Knesset in Israel on annexing the West Bank. Do you see it as a challenge to your peace efforts?
Will you answer that, please? Because I cannot understand the words you're saying. Where are you from? Where are you from? You're from France, beautiful accent, but we can't understand what you're saying. Huh?
She said a vote at the Knesset on the West Bank.
The West Bank is, don't worry about the West Bank. Israel's not going to do anything with the West Bank, okay? Don't worry about it. Is that your question? They're not going to do anything with the West Bank. Don't worry about it. Israel's doing very well. They're not going to do anything.
And as he says, Israel's not going to do anything with the West Bank. I mean, like I said, I'm just not understanding if people understand how crucial it is that piece of land ends up in the hands of Israel. I mean, what's the future of it? A Palestinian state? I don't think so. I really don't think so. Listen to what Yishai Fleischer had to say on I-24 News.
Yishai Fleischer, the spokesperson from the Jewish community in Hebron. And Yishai, you heard from Mark Zell there. He said that this move was bad timing. But for proponents of Israeli sovereignty over the West Bank, is it worth offending U.S. officials and losing U.S. support by actually moving forward with a bill like this?
Yeah, I was a little surprised at J.D. Vance's tone and his choice of words. I would have said to him, this was not meant to offend you. This was not meant to really, it's not in conversation with you. The Jewish people have yearned to be sovereign in Judea and Samaria for a long time. We had a very tough war now. We want to come out with some victories from this war. We want to see more control. We want to push back on jihadism. We want to be sovereign in our land because of our history, because of our rights under international law, which actually the previous Trump administration recognized. So we're moving forward with that. And our Knesset, which is our democratically elected body, our parliament, took a step. It was really not, it was not timed to be in lockstep with the J.D. Vance visit. It had nothing to do with him. It had something to do with a will of a lot of people in Israel to be sovereign in Judea and Samaria. And it happened to be in his timing. And I was a little bit, I thought it was kind of strange that he would say that it was personally offensive and that he would say it was stupid. I don't think that was the good choice of wordage. I don't think that was good language to use when dealing with a large swath of the Israeli public, which actually does want to see sovereignty in Judea and Samaria.
And that is the truth. A large amount of people want to see that. And that's why, obviously the votes went that way. Now, I did see on Twitter that Hillel Fold actually had a little bit of a different take. And I don't know what insight he has, but obviously he usually has some type of insights. But he reasoned that the reason why it was timed that way, and it was actually the opposition, those who were in opposition, who decided to have that vote because they knew that this would hurt Bibi and his government once it got back to Vance and obviously to President Trump, that it would seem as if Israel was trying to move in a direction that would basically usurp the peace plan that Trump put in place. So check out Hillel Fold's post. I think it was actually very beautiful, where he was very macabre and he gave honor to President Trump, but at the same time saying that this was an attempt to take down and make Bibi look bad, as if he wasn't holding up to his end of the agreement. And this is why the Knesset voted at that time. And, others were actually lured in to this voting. And whatever way it goes, it doesn't matter. If it isn't today, if it's tomorrow, next week, whatever the case is, the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, it belongs to the Jewish people, period. That is the biblical heartland of Israel. That is our base. It is our land. So it will eventually be annexed. So it doesn't matter whether it's today or tomorrow, whatever the case is. One thing also too that I think a lot of people should really take a seat back from, because we've heard President Trump throughout his presidency, especially in this last year in dealing with the war, have very harsh approach towards Israel. But yet, when things settled, we've seen that things was like, wow, he actually came through for us a lot. So sometimes it's very hard for us to hear these type of things, but in the back of our mind, we need to know that the relationship is very strong and very tight. And with God's help, we hope that it will continue to be that way. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. Please, again, make sure you like, subscribe, notification bell. And if you can, make sure that you pick up some merch. Nissim Black Store. Make sure you get yourself a cup, t-shirt, something, help and support this channel. Also, you can sign up for Glory Nation, which is my online community where we go deep into prayer and how to protect ourselves from being idiots. See you guys in the next video.